Welcome to the Free Press Inc. This is a video blog, a third of a four-part series on the topic of evolution is not science. I have two books on Kindle that are the foundation of this presentation. The first proves that evolution is born of ancient mythology. The second proves that evolution is born of medieval alchemy. Alchemy was a leading view of how chemical and biological matter changed in the 17th century. These ideas later became transformationism in the 18th century. In the 19th century, these ideas became evolution. From this history or evolution of the idea of evolution, we can understand that evolution is nothing more than modern-day alchemy. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck was a chemical and biological alchemist in the 18th century. He was a member of the French Transformationists. This is a group of people who believed in biological evolution long before Charles Darwin was born. Erasmus Darwin was an English transformationist in the 18th century. He was also the grandfather of Charles Darwin. He also published a thesis called Pangenesis in his book Zoonomia. Charles Darwin, the grandson of Erasmus Darwin, also believed in the transformation of species, and it was from this that he produced his ideas of evolution. Darwin was a proponent of pangenesis like his grandfather, but his first cousin Francis Galton disproved his theory. In the 18th century, Antoine Lavoie disproved the alchemist theory of phlogiston and calxes. This he did by experiment. Phlogiston was an alchemist's belief that all matter was infused with it, and that it was released from minerals by burning, from vegetables by fermentation, and from animals by putrefaction. This was how alchemists believed matter could be transformed. Lavoie experimented in the burning of metals, and then he showed that instead of losing mass, the mass stayed the same. This led to the law of the conservation of matter, and it also led to the disproval of this idea of alchemy. Lavoie later became known as the father of modern chemistry, as chemistry replaced alchemy. In the 19th century, Gregor Mendel, an Augustinian friar, experimented with pea pods at his monastery. Mendel discovered through experiment the laws of inheritance that provide the foundation of the science we call genetics. Genes determine our characteristics, but changes in genes do not make monkeys into man. The idea of spontaneous generation is just another belief of alchemy, that matter can take on new forms spontaneously. Transformation of matter, biological, originally chaotic, supposedly occurs due to the work of spontaneous generation. But this idea was experimented in the 17th century by Francesco Redi, who refuted the idea that maggots come from meat. His tests empirically proved that spontaneous generation is invalid. Lazzaro Spallanzani in the 18th century likewise experimented to prove that the alchemist's belief in spontaneous generation is not real. This continued in the 19th century with Louis Pasteur. His experiments proved that fermentation was not the result of spontaneous generation, but of germs in the air. Once again, empirical science disproved spontaneous generation. Throughout history, experiments disproved chemical and biological alchemy. Lavoie, Mendel, Redi, Spallanzani, and Pasteur all showed by experiment the errors of chemical and biological evolution. From their work, Lavoie became the father of chemistry, and Mendel became the father of genetics. Biological evolution is nothing more than biological alchemy. And biological evolution, as such, is not science. It's been my pleasure to present to you the third installment of this four-part series. Please visit the Free Press Inc. and leave your comments. I welcome like-minded and contrary views so long as they are discreet. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you once again.